So Cursor just came out with a relatively new feature. Honestly, I don't know when it came out. I just stumbled upon it and I figured, hey, let's just make a video on it in case there's people who are also using Cursor who watch my channel. This is basically a to-do feature. So like you can basically prompt AI to do something with your application. And then as the agent is running, you can queue up more to-do items and it'll kind of go through them one by one so that as you make changes and think about stuff, you can just like append them onto the queue. So I'll show you that. And there's also a planning mode. So like you can ask Cursor to like generate a plan, and then that's going to make all your to-do items and kind of follow through with them one by one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, can you change the title of the app to something more fitting? And while this is kicked off, I'm going to go ahead and run another to-do item. So let's just kick this off. And then I'm going to say, can you also create a function I can reuse in my TanStack server actions to check if the user is an admin by checking their email of webdevcody@gmail.com. And after I click enter, notice that it queued up this task, right? So it's currently changing the title of my application, which honestly I could have done by hand, would have been much faster. But it's generating suggestions, and then it should go through and update the title of my TanStack app application. Okay, it's editing the root. It's changing the title a little bit. And eventually we should be able to go up here and see that it changed it to WebDevCody Video Ideas. So we can go ahead and accept that. And as it's finishing this up, it's going to kick off that next queue. And hopefully it understands my prompt. Okay, I'll create a reusable admin check function for your TanStack server action. Let me first examine the code. And while it's doing that, I'm going to go back and just refresh and notice that the title of my application, you actually can't see it, but if I pull it down, it says WebDevCody Video Idea. So it did update that title. And now it's adding a new function called isUserAdmin, which go ahead and check this out when it's done. It's adding a new middleware function. It's basically getting my user session, and then it looks up to see if my email is set to WebDevCody. And if it is, then I'm considered an admin. So while this is generating, I'm going to say, can you now allow any admin to delete ideas when clicking on the delete button? Also, show the delete button on the idea card when the user is an admin. Let's see if this can kind of follow through and implement that. All right, hopefully this works good. Let's just refresh the app. Okay, this is Break My App. I'm going to fix this real quick. I think it put this in the wrong file. I basically need to make like an auth utility. I'm just going to put it in here. I'm going to say isAdmin. Put the whole function in there. And actually, let me rename it to match. So that I can import this one as well. All right, cool. So it looks like it's working. I can go through and I can delete any of these cards, even if they weren't even created by me. So if I sign in as someone else, I cannot delete those. And I'm just going to make a new idea. I'm going to say testing, 1, 2, 3. That should create the idea. And then if I log back in as the admin, and then we will try to delete that and it's gone. Okay, so that was the first thing I wanted to demo with you, was basically the queue where you can stack on new tasks as you think about them. And while stuff is kind of working in the background, you can go off and finish up coding. Now, the next feature I'm going to add in, it's mainly just for demonstration purposes. I'm not actually going to add this to the app. But let's say I wanted a way for users to contact me and I wanted to store a form that they submit in a backend. So this is where the Cursor plan mode really comes in handy. I'm going to go ahead and say, please generate me a plan and implement it, which should do the following. I'm going to go ahead and just put like some to-do list of bullet points. I'm going to say, make a top header nav item for contact. And I'll say, make a contact route, show a form on that route, create a new DB schema to store contact info, have the form invoke a TanStack server function to check authentication and store that in the database using Drizzle ORM. Show a success state when the form was submitted successfully. Okay, so now that you have this plan kind of laid out, you can actually just kick that off into agent mode. And it's going to break down your prompt into to-do items. And it's going to follow them like we just showed you with that to-do queue. Okay, so now it's actually generating the plan. And it has more comprehensive instructions that it's going to follow. We get all the to-do lists that I kind of listed out by hand, but now it has actually information about like, okay, what file needs to be updated. And you can just wait and let it implement all of these changes into your code base. So we're just going to go ahead and sit back, watch it do some of these changes. So it is adding a contact table now, which has an email and a name and a user ID. It's creating the contact function so that a user can actually submit this to the backend. It looks like it's using Zod schema to make sure that certain things are defined. It's got authentication set up. That's awesome. It's doing a profanity filter to make sure people aren't submitting bad stuff. And then it inserts this into my database, and then it's going to create the contact page, which it's doing right now. Now make sure you babysit this because it is going to prompt you to run some stuff, and I don't have the auto run enabled on my cursor. I don't trust it. I wouldn't want cursor running stuff without me checking it, honestly. Yeah, so at this point, it basically ran all the steps. It didn't run the database migrations because I have a different way to do that. So let's remember to run db generate and then db migrate. And now I can just run my application. Go back to the app. I'm going to make sure I am signed in, which I am. I'll go to the contact page, and here we have a page with a form. I got client-side validation. I can enter in my email information, whatever else, and then click send message. The message has been sent. I get a nice toast. If I go over to my database, I have that contact table, and I see that information stored, which me as an admin, I can go and I can read through this. And that is the plan feature. Honestly, like if you're not paying attention to what's going on with AI and how like these IDEs are improving, I feel like every month we are basically like breaking new boundaries of like how good this stuff is getting. I know Claude Code already had this type of feature, but Cursor kind of added it, which I find really nice. You can actually generate a really nice plan and have it implement everything for you. So definitely don't be sleeping on these updates. Pay attention to the changes so that you are on top of all these, because these are just going to make you more productive. Like you see how easy it was to add a new page and add a form, and it has everything basically. I one-shot prompted that. Now, granted, this isn't hard to add in by hand, but it took maybe AI a minute to add in a database change, in a form, in a server action with authentication, in schema validations and client-side validations, and toast and modal and success state. So this is pretty cool stuff. I really love Cursor. I'm really excited of the new features that they're adding, and I'm eager to see what they add in the future. All right, have a good day and happy coding.